Okay, what we have today is the Roland V-1HD. This is a new video switcher from Roland. The reason why I got this switcher is because I already have a switcher for my live stream. I'm using the Blackmagic ATEM, which is in the rack. That has 6 inputs. It has SDI and HDMI, which is great for us because we're more of a prosumer church where we do have an SDI PTZ camera, but a lot of our inputs are HDMI. However, that's great for our live stream. It's also great for sending video down to the classrooms, digital signage, things like that around the church. The thing that we're missing, though, is to control what's happening up on the projector. For that, we do have a PC down here, PC running Easy Worship. We do want to upgrade that to Pro Presenter on a Mac at some point because then we'll be able to do some more things. However, right now we have a lyrics machine. We also have a machine here, which is a Mac Mini, which is running all of our audio. It's also running our switcher software for the ATEM Blackmagic. And so that's a software switcher that's working well for us. And over here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but we also have the PTZ control, as well as a live stream encoding box. And so in this very small amount of space, we can mix our sound. We have a PreSonus 24/4/2 mixer, Studio Live. We could do a lot of things in a fairly small piece of small area. However, if we do need to run a video or a DVD or anything that, you know how it is on Sunday morning, people just throw things at you, expect you to perform miracles, we had a hard time doing that. One of the reasons is we had a HDMI matrix here, which is really kind of like pushing a button to turn HDMI sources on or off. And so you have that issue where the computer will take a few seconds to hopefully come back and switch modes and switch screens. And that was really causing a lot of issues with our PC. So I'm going to sign into this PC real quick here, just because that is going to be the main source for the switcher. And so what we need to do is hook this switcher up to the PC for the lyrics display, but we also want to hook it in to our ATEM, our Blackmagic ATEM, so that we can put live video up on the screen for things like children's skits for Christmas Eve and so forth. Speaking of Christmas Eve, it is December 21st, and that is when we received this just in time for the Christmas Eve service. So let's take a look at the Roland V-1HD. I've already opened the box and taken a look, but I want to show you this. Inside the box, you have your owner's manual, cursory look at it, very easy to understand. And of course, your support phone numbers. You also have a power cord and a brick that the power cord plugs into. Standard issue. And then under here we have our switcher. Now, when I purchased this online, I thought, well, it's a low-cost switcher. As far as video switchers go, $1,000 is probably the lowest cost that you can get. I figured because this was a low-cost item, that it was going to be all plastic, that it wasn't going to feel too good. However, I can tell you, holding this in my hand, it is very heavy-duty. It has a metal top plate here. All the knobs and actions feel buttery smooth. As far as I can tell, I'm sure you could probably get slightly better, but it feels like a really, really nice piece of equipment. As far as I can tell, metal all around. This may be plastic, but generally really cool. And the thing that's really great about this is, even though it's a $1,000 switcher, it also is a hardware interface. And so for the Blackmagic ATEM, you're not going to get a hardware switcher with that. That's extra. So you're stuck to using a software switcher, which doesn't sound too bad until you need to quickly move some windows around and whatnot to get the software up and running, which occasionally also does crash. And so I'm really excited by this because you have your buttons here, you have your fader to switch in between to run your wipes and your mixes and cuts and whatnot. The other thing that this has is, if we take a look at this side, we do have a 4-port HDMI input, and you have a preview output and a regular output. So the regular output is going to go directly to our projector, if not through a through a splitter first. And then the preview can show you both, either the 4 inputs put up in a grid, or you can also configure that to show you the video that's on deck or the video that's currently playing. And so you can actually get 2 outputs from this unit if I'm reading the user manual correctly. You also have here, and this is the other reason I got this switcher, is you have audio output. And so built into this device is actually a 12-channel audio mixer. So you're looking at stereo audio for all 4 of your HDMI inputs, as well as an RCA input. And so we're going to use that for inputting probably from the PC. And then you also have here a mic input on the side. You can adjust the levels. You also have a headphone jack here for listening into the switcher for monitoring purposes. And on this side you have MIDI, and so you can actually control this completely from MIDI. And of course you have your power and power button, as well as a USB cord. And this USB cord can be used to connect the switcher to a computer and then use that computer to remotely manage this switcher. So really great piece of hardware. What I really love about this, instead of the Blackmagic ATEM, is that it supports, over here you got a little switcher, little three position switch. You can use 1080p, 1080i, or 720p. And so something that's really tripped us up with the Blackmagic ATEM is that it doesn't support 1080p, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you want to bring something into the mix like an Apple TV or other more consumer level video outputs or inputs, I'm sorry. And so that's a really great feature of this. We had to actually downsample our entire live stream and broadcast to 720p so that we can support an Apple TV for digital signage, which is what we're using. We might change that in the future. But having 1080p support is really great. So we're going to plug this in. Let's see how it goes. I may be cutting this video as I'm crawling under the desk. One of the things that we've done here at Fountain of Life is installed some LED lighting in the booth. It sounds really under the desk. It sounds kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you use that expense? And really, it's so that we don't have to ever use a flashlight. We can just turn it on to white and crawl underneath. It also allows some of our other sound volunteers to support their favorite teams. So if Chad were here, he would say, "Go Eagles!" Or sometimes we have to make the drummer feel better and bring him some gold colors here for the Steelers and whatnot. I'm not a football fan, so I just stick it on white so I can work under the desk. There we go. Now we have enough slack on that power line. We should be able to plug it in. Here we go. Ooh, look at that. We have some lights blinking already. I don't know what that means. Now, one first thing I can tell you is that there is a little bit of a fan noise coming off of this. So it does not have passive cooling. It does have active cooling, it seems. You feel a little bit of air moving. That's okay. It's not very loud. I can tell you that it's fine for a sound room, but you do know it's running. Kind of sounds like a laptop running at about medium fan noise. So that's interesting. I thought this would be more of a passive cooling system, but I guess it makes sense for such a small package. Next thing we're going to do is plug in some of our inputs. I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually route my output that goes to our projector, move that from the PC to the switcher so I can at least see what's happening. I'm going to turn on my projector here. Okay. Have my output plugged in. I can tell you those HDMI ports on the back seem pretty heavy duty. I know that sounds really weird to say, but if you work with any HDMI equipment for a while, you realize that there's some really poor ports. Those feel pretty secure in there. I can tell you that the switcher is making more fan noise. Not sure if that's going to bother anybody or not. So anyway, we plug that in. I do have to tell you that I did not actually read the directions for any of this. So let's find out what happens. I'm going to plug my output of the PC into another HDMI cord. And then I'm going to plug that one into the first HDMI input over here. Let's see. There we go. How about this one? The PC is blinking a little bit, so it knows that it's connected. Okay. Now, we have the PC set up to have a black background for both screens, so that nothing really appears. We're just going to open up Easy Worship here. That's the software we use for projecting lyrics during congregational singing. And as you can see right away, I've switched everything to 720p. By the way, we're going to use 720p throughout our whole system, so we don't have to worry about transcoding it. But right away, it's showing up there. So that is a good thing. Sometimes, as you know, things do not go nearly as simply as you would hope. And I saw some sluggishness there when I was switching my lyrics. I was wondering if that was the switcher. I'm going to blame that on the computer because it seemed to have resolved itself pretty quickly. So let's plug another input in, see what happens. Okay. I'm not sure what that output is. I guess I should probably figure that out. Let's find out. There we go. So we are actually outputting content from our ATEM switcher now into this. Now it doesn't look like the resolution is correct. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go check the resolution of the Roland V-1HD because I might have it set to 1080p. Hold on a second. There we go. That easy to switch the resolutions. I think that's really great. Now, remember, anytime you're working with switchers, you usually want to have the same input resolution across the board. You have to make sure everything's kind of the same. Here it looks like it really confused Easy Worship quite a bit. We're going to close down that program. Easy Worship, we have an older version of Easy Worship, but it is notorious for not really handling video switches very well. It'll end up on a different screen, and very strange things happening here. Let's see. I'm getting a little warning about playing audio through HDMI, which I might want to keep up just because I want to change that. And here I open up my screen, my settings, my video settings in Windows, running Windows 7 on this box, and it has detected the V-1HD at the 1280 by 720 resolution. Looks good. And we are going to open up Easy Worship again and see what happens here. If everything's recognized again. Okay, now we're back in business, it appears. And so we can now switch pretty easily between, as you can see, I'm just taking this slider here and going and fading between my input from my ATEM switcher into my Roland switcher. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, because I want to have one person running my cameras. With the Blackmagic ATEM, we can have up to 6 inputs. We're planning on having 3 cameras eventually. We have 1 PTZ. We'll have 1 stationary that we set up. Eventually, we'll have 2 PTZs, which means that 1 camera operator in the back of the house can operate all the cameras. So I'm going to come over here and using my camera presets, I'm just going to switch to a better view with my PTZ. And we're going to open up the Blackmagic switcher here. And as you can see right now, I have digital signage running. That's what we send when we're not broadcasting, when we're not doing a service. So that goes all the way through to some of the TVs around the classrooms and hallways and entranceways. So when we hit auto, now we should automatically fade, and we have live video now displayed on our screen. So this is kind of a pretty inexpensive way to do some iMag. Now to do it properly, because I've thought about this a little bit, I would want to delay my entire mixer. So all the action that is happening is delayed by a few frames. I'm not a master at this, but what I can say is right now we are delaying just a few milliseconds using a lip sync module, an RCA lip sync module in our rack. If I wanted to do it properly, I would probably delay all the output from my mixer by a few milliseconds, and that would allow the video that shows on the screen to match up with what the congregation is hearing out in the audience area. Again, just probably a few milliseconds, because we would be running the video from a camera to the ATEM switcher to another switcher, and so we're going to lose a few frames of time doing that. Now, I'm not going to worry about that for Christmas because we only have a very, very short children's play to do iMag, but something that I'll probably want to come back to and look at a little bit later. So I'm going to switch away from just the regular wipe and go to mix and see what that does. That's just going to fade between my two inputs. And there is the possibility to automatically fade this. So on the right hand side, again, I didn't read the user manual. I just kind of glanced through it, kind of, okay, those are the parts. These are the features it has. Good enough to talk to you. But there's something called the transformer here on the side, and so I can push the down button and switch to the input that's selected on the bottom row of my 4 inputs, and then I can hit the top button and switch back to the other one over a specific period of time. It looks like I can choose different effects here. I'm not sure what that does. Looks like I can invert the screen. I can flip it around a couple of different ways. So the bottom knob looks like it can flip the screen around. I imagine the top knob does the same thing. Now the other thing we can do is, so on the right hand side is where you can blend between the two inputs. However, on the left side, you have something called output fade. And output fade allows you to either move the knob to the left to fade to black, or you can move it back to center. There's a nice secure click right there in the center. Or I can fade it to white. I don't know if you see that up on the screen, but it's real simple to do. Again, these controls are real nice and smooth. The other thing that this has the capability of is a freeze frame. So I can freeze the video in a specific spot. There's a memory button. Not sure what that does. I might be able to recall a certain screen in the future. There is the ability to synchronize all of this video with a tap, with a BPM. That may be able to come in via the MIDI input. I'm not sure yet. But you can also have a tap the BPM right here on the device. And there's an audio button, which looks like when I push that, I could choose which source to use for the audio. I'm going to be using this particular scenario, this particular device. My hope is to set it up with a mode where the audio automatically switches to the active video. And that will allow me to switch automatically to displaying or to playing the video or the audio for a specific video that I need to play, or the audio from this PC. So a lot of different options here, folks. I really like this switcher already. Again, it looks like I'm going to have to maybe break open the user manual, but by and large, I can use this very intuitively. I learned how to do this on video with you. And so I feel very confident in training my staff on how to use the Roland V-1HD. So I hope this video tutorial, this video review, whatever you call it, has been very useful. Thanks for watching.